Alrighty. Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, Classic Non Classics. This is episode number 2161, Doubleshot number 2055. I got two characters who got some really awesome stuff here. Now, here's a fun fact with both these two books. Both these books at one point were written by the now late Denny O'Neil. First up, we're going back in time. Not 10, not 20, not 30 years ago. We're going back 50 years ago with Black Lightning, Volume 1. Yep. I love the tagline, just like lightning, which is also the same catchphrase they gave to the Thunderbolts. This book collects the entire first volume of Black Lightning, which was 11 issues. Yes, it lasts 11 issues. I'll get to the reason why in a minute. Along with World's Finest 60. I don't have the cover in here, but basically, yeah, it's 260. Now, the character, of course, the first 10 issues are done by the original creators of the character, Tony Isabella and Charlie Von Eden. I have never met Tony Isabella. Never met him. I have met Charlie Von Eden once. I believe I have a comic book. This was at Tempe Comic Con. I think it was like 2017, 2018 I met him. Nice guy. Now, this, of course, is the original Black Lightning, the one where the TV show got inspiration from. Now, they do keep in here similar stuff they do with the TV show, like the fact that Black Lightning is divorced by the time he basically starts his career as Black Lightning. Now, the thing that started off basically in this book, now, the whole first 10 issues is simply put Black Lightning versus Tobias Whale. That's your story arc for the opening 10 issues of the series. And it gets wrapped up by issue 10, because that's when Tony Isabella leaves the book and gets replaced for the last couple issues by Denny O'Neil. And of course, you have Hero Eating on the artwork, with Michael Nesser also on the artwork too. The cover artwork is done by Rich Buckler and Frank Spengler. Yes, now, this is a very serialized story. Now, also, but yeah, Black Lightning, he shows up, beats people up. Now, by the way, this is what his original costume looked like back in the 70s. And by the way, that thing he's wearing on his head, that's a wig. Yeah, it's not his actual hair. It's not an afro. So, we do show the fact that, so his backstory, he's an Olympian. The fact he takes on bullies. The fact he also, the major storyline, you could say, the true storyline is Black Lightning versus Tobias Whale. That's the end goal. But mainly it's Black Lightning versus the 100. The 100 is basically a big criminalization in Suicide Slum. Yes, Black Lightning is based in Suicide Slum. If you're curious, though, Suicide Slum is the ugly section of Metropolis. That is simply what it is. It's not a pretty sight. I think it's called Suicide Slum because of the high suicide rate, if I'm mistaken. Yes. Now, you might be curious, though. Does Superman show the boat because it's in the Metropolis? Yes, it does. Yes, he does. Yep. I think it shows up in issue 4 or 5, I think it was. Yep. Now, of course, issue 1 is also not only the debut of Black Lightning himself, but also Tobias Whale, who, for some reason, occasionally appears in Batman cartoons. That's why I think he's a Black Lightning villain. Now, this old man here, his name is Peter Gucci. He actually is, he's basically the best way to describe this guy. Like I mentioned in my review for Black Lightning Year 1, he is basically Black Lightning's version of Pennyworth. That is simply what the guy is. He makes Black Lightning's suit. Now the thing is, here's the strange thing about Black Lightning. Because people probably mistakenly assume that he had lightning powers from his debut. No. No, he didn't. That is a misconception about the character, because he has a force field around him. He gets lightning powers later. So, that's example of this guy called the Psychotron Man, who apparently fought Batman, yes. And the only reason why Superman is here, because Jimmy Olsen's involved in the story. I think Jimmy Olsen's involved with the 100, but not really. And, of course, the whole major thing about these issues is that we have Black Lightning on the run, because the fact he's a vigilante. And also get introduced to a character by the name of Jim Corrigan. You're thinking, wait, Jim Corrigan, you mean the Spectre? No, not the Spectre. He's a police officer. You mean the crooked one? No. This guy's black. He only exists in this book, and we also have the Inspector Henderson, who's basically kind of like a version of Jim Gordon for Black Lightning, because he's on Black Lightning's side. He's basically on a lot of the time. And by issue 10, Black Lightning himself takes on Tobias a couple times. When he takes on the second time, basically it's a big battle. It's a big brawl. It's similar to what I saw in Daredevil, the end of Daredevil Season 1, where we had Daredevil having a brawl with the Kingpin, who broke out of jail. And he, of course, is arrested, and it's not seen again for the rest of the series, because here's the strange thing about it. Basically, after issue 10, actually like issue number, I thought it was 10, no, it was actually issue 8. That's when they wrapped up the Black Lightning, that's what happened to the Tobias Whale stuff. Because the last couple issues have nothing to do with that at all. It's mostly, you could say, like him work with the police, and also occasionally walk around with his mask on. Yeah, so mostly with some one-shot characters. It's like basically they're trying to fill for time. In issue 10, this is interesting. He takes on the original Trickster, James Jesse. By the way, did you know his real name is Giovanni? Yes, it's an alias. So, yeah, basically, he takes them on this issue, and that's all I actually see of them, because with issue number 11, it's taken over by, of course, Danny O'Neill. Chabody does do the artwork for this thing, but yeah, and then we have we have Black Lightning number 12. This technically is issue 12. But here's the thing about the book. Why did the book end after 11 issues? The reason why: the DC implosion. Yep, the DC implosion ended this book, and issue 12 technically was published in World's Finest, but they don't have World's Finest issue in here. They just had the first 12 issues of this book. This book is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's basically, I'm going to give the book roughly a 10 out of 10. Now, you might be curious, though, because coming in the 70s, is there any hints of racism in this book? Not really. Not really. There's not even a mild hint of it. Now, because the fact the creative team is mostly black anyways, and according to Tony Isabella, the reason why he created Black Lightning because there wasn't many black characters in comics at that point in time, and Black Lightning is proved to be a pretty successful character, but not to have a series per se. He did have another series in the 90s, but that's something else altogether. We'll talk about another review. Next up, we have Iron Man Epic Collection, Volume 18, The Return of Tony Stark. And this one's a pretty short term when it comes to issues, because you have Iron Man issues 290 to 297. I'll talk about one of the issues. And 14. You think, wait, that's it? Wait, there's more. We also have Marvel Superheroes 13, Iron Man number 1, Awesome Material from issues 2, 8, 9, 12, 14, and 15. Now, in these issues, Tony Stark has come back to life, apparently dying back in issue 284. And, of course, basically, he can't really move. He can move his head, but he can't move his hands. He basically is mostly paralyzed from the neck down. But he gets rehabilitation. He gets to a point where he's able to get out of bed and get into a wheelchair. Oh yeah, and also he's not in the Iron Man suit in these issues. He basically is controlled via remote because of this period of time. And at one point, Rhodey wasn't talking to him because of the fact that he had lied to him about faking his death. So he takes the armor and tells him to keep it anyways. Now, one of these issues, 296, I reread it. Let's see if I can get to it here, because this is a very interesting fun fact about me and this issue in particular. Like in the case of Incredible Hulk, I think it was 402, This here was another early issue of comics I had actually read. Yes, this very issue right here. In issue we have Iron Man taking on Omega Red and MODOK. Yes, and fun fact, this is my introduction to Omega Red. Not in the pages of X-Men, for comic-wise, it was this very comic book. This is my introduction to him. Interesting though the fact he's fighting him in these issues, but mostly it's like doing by remote. But these 8 issues are really, really good. I thoroughly enjoy reading these issues. They were awesome. The annual itself, well, By the way, the issue just came out in 1993. Yes. The period of March to October of 1993. Now, the annual is simple. Now, by the way, he also had a debut of Technivore in these issues. I think it was 297. I think it was debut of Technivore. Correct? I believe it was. I don't know when these issues was. Well, no, not 297. I don't think it was 296. I think it was 295. I think it was. Oh yeah, it was actually 294. This is Technivore. It's a virus. Yep, that was his debut. The annual itself is simply put basic. Now, I should point out though that the main issues of Iron Man are written by Len Kameski, who was the writer of the comic at that point in time, and the other writers of this book are Kurt Busiek as Kawa Fury, Chris Priest as Jim Owsley, L.A.R. Brown, Scott Benson, Bob Nuttall, Steve Ditko, Will Murray, Brian Booter, Dave Michelini, David Kropp, and Cal Steve all some artwork here too. Now, the annual itself is just a series of stories. We have Unfamiliar Faces, this is what Len Kameski does. Scott Benson does while the band plays on, and Heritage Vengeance is also done by Len Kameski. Mostly put this one just kind of a hunter's issue. We just him taking on some weird animal stuff. I think it's interesting for what it is. Now, Tony Stark in this annual is not in the wheelchair. No, he is. He's actually inside the suit. This could be before he went to the wheelchair, because it's just a series of stories, but they're all really good. Nothing really wrong here per se. And then right after the annual, we actually have a preview like all these pages, and then we have they call these super specials, but this is released quarterly. Now this was issue number, I think this was issue number 2. I think it was the first one they have in here. 2. Cold Feelings. This mostly put just basically a guy who's just trying to get Tony Stark to agree to make weapons. He doesn't want to. It's a quick short story, and it's actually not that bad. Now, issue number, I think this is issue number 8. I believe it is. Yes. Issue 8 of Marvel Superheroes. This is debut of Squirrel Girl, and you can tell it's Steve Ditko's artwork. Yep, I've kind of discussed this issue before. It's a really good issue. It just inspired me to Squirrel Girl and also take on Doctor Doom. In issue number 9, this is simply, I think this is the Kurt Busiek issue. This issue here, it, by the way, also in here in the main Iron Man issues, Morgan Stark had taken over Stark Enterprises, but with Tony Stark alive, Morgan Stark was basically kind of eliminated. He supposedly was killed off. Yep. But he has some really good stories. You have Iron Man in the Centaurian suit. I really enjoy, one of my favorite artwork in here is the artwork for this issue here. 93, I think it was. Let's see. This was, This is issue 13 of Marvel Superheroes. Yeah, they say this is an all Iron Man issue. The first story is done by Jim Owsley, aka Christopher Priest. Checkmate is also by Jim Owsley. Kurt Busiek does the third story in here. It's in case you're curious though, it is a 80-page story, and it takes up a lot of this book. A lot of really good stuff here. The Iron Man manual is simply put just basically about Iron Man stuff here. This book is great. I think my friend Edgar, if you get a chance to hear about this, I'm sure he'd probably agree with this, Ricky. This book is awesome. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's amazing. Yep. But yeah, that's that particular review. Next up in our Comrade review, and that's probably it for tonight. Probably come later. So yeah, see you next video. Bye.